Hello, I'm Mario Navarro, and this is VCU InSight. VCU is hosting Bann Book Week. InSight reporter Bridget Kelly has more on how this event is taking a look at book censorship across the country.
Right, Mario, there are exhibits and events happening right now around campus. The purpose is to educate people about the record number of banned or challenged books across the country. Exhibits include Ink and Rebellion, the evolution of censorships in comics. It's in the Cabell Library showcasing graphic novels that have been censored or banned. Students are also asked to be a part of Cabell's whiteboard engagement with the ability to write down a book that changed their life. There's also the Freedom to Read pop-up libraries, an exhibit allowing students to check out banned books wrapped in brown paper. The American Library Association says there were over 1,200 demands to censor books in 2022, and that number continues to increase in 2023. Reporting in Richmond for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Bridget Kelly.
A pedestrian safety study at VCU says improvements are needed around both campuses. The review comes months after 2 students were struck and killed by vehicles. Engineering and planning contractor Kimberly Horn assessed both medical and Monroe campuses during the spring semester. The firm's recommendations include altering crosswalks to be more visible. One of the recommendations has already been implemented. VCU recently installed speed bumps on Main, Cary, and Franklin streets. The city is hosting a symposium on pedestrian safety on November 8th to discuss future speed management programs. Early voting is happening now in Virginia for the general election in November. InSight reporter Jason Tejeda Molina is taking a look at the biggest topics on voters' minds and how they may be divided.
Thank you, Mario. Early in-person voting has begun on September 22nd. According to a survey conducted by the Research America Incorporated, 44% of Virginians have mixed feelings and are concerned on where the Commonwealth is headed politically. With all 140 seats in the General Assembly on the ballot, the outcome of the election will determine the policies that will impact the state for the next 2 years. Issues such as abortion and public school policies are on the top of people's minds. According to the survey, 53% of voters say the Supreme Court's recent ruling on abortion plays a major factor in deciding their vote during the midterm elections. 21% say it's a minor factor. 20% say it's not a factor at all. Early in-person voting will continue until November 7th. You can find more information directly from the Virginia Department of Elections. Reporting at the state capitol for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Jason Tejeda Molina.
After more than 3 years, the government's halt on student loan repayment is over, likely impacting over 40 million Americans. Federal education data estimates that the average student loan holder will owe over $37,000 with $300 monthly payments. Borrowers can, however, prepare for this transition. It is advised to contact your loan service provider to ensure payments are correct, review finances, and find tailored repayment options if necessary. Also, if eligible, the SAVE plan can replace the pay-as-you-can-earn plan, potentially reducing monthly payments and eliminating remaining interest. Be sure to visit your loan servicer's website to find out more. Close to 90,000 children in Virginia are set to lose daycare as hundreds of programs across the state could close. InSight reporter Riley Matthews has more on how the lack of federal funding is going to affect these families.
This past Saturday, federal funding for childcare ran out, leaving families scrambling, as this means that the current cost of childcare could rise even more. Back in 2021, the White House granted $39 billion from the American Rescue Plan to combat the issues of childcare across the country. $180 million of this funding was given to Virginia and was intended to drive down costs and provide higher pay for care providers. According to the Century Foundation, the expiration of this funding could lead nearly half of the child care facilities in Virginia to have to close their doors for good. This comes at a time of an all-time high for costs across the state, with Virginia currently the 10th highest state for care. It will not immediately affect families, as Virginia still has a year of funding remaining on the state's child care subsidy program. But families may need to start planning now. Reporting in Richmond with VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Riley Matthews.
Time now for the CNS News Minute, where we tell you the top headlines Capitol News Service is working on. CNS reporter Sahara Sriraman is in the studio with more.
Virginia schools are getting millions of dollars to hire more support positions desperately needed during a teacher shortage. The state's new budget designates $152 million to help fill these roles. Support positions include health, instructional, and office staff and were capped since 2009. Lack of support staff causes teachers to fill these roles, taking their time away from students. The cap has not been completely lifted, so schools are still short millions for these positions. A bill that puts billions of dollars into food stamp programs has expired, and Congress has yet to act. The Farm Bill funds programs from farmlands to food stamps. Congress should renew it every 5 years, but no new version has been filed. Food stamps will still be distributed in October, according to the USDA. Eddie Oliver with the Federation of Virginia Food Banks says pantries already feel the strain, and this could only make things worse.
And so the slightest cut to the SNAP program will fall on us by way of longer lines at our pantries, and will really require us to overcome even more challenges than we're currently facing.
Lawmakers disagree on the bill's funding, with some calling food stamps a handout program. The USDA reports just under 850,000 Virginians received SNAP benefits in June. Warriors Heart, a veteran and first responder focused recovery center, is now open in Virginia. Warriors Heart's new facility sits on 500 acres of land in Caroline County. The 60-bed facility is now open and accepting veterans and first responders struggling with PTSD and substance use disorder. Warriors Heart wants to give back to those who served, according to their executive director in Virginia, Mike Marotta.
That is the goal, is to give them back a sense of purpose and agency over their lives, and to give them a sense of routine.
Virginia Pride Fest will now take place on October 22nd at the Bon Secours Training Center in Richmond. The event was rescheduled after the tropical storm Ophelia ushered in bad weather. Now one of Richmond's largest LGBTQ celebrations has set a course for the 24th 100 block of West Lee Street. And although Pride Fest was rescheduled, LGBTQ advocates say another important date is on their calendar, November 7th, Election Day. Advocates say every vote matters in their community, with all 140 seats up for re-election. And finally, Central Virginia has a new power soccer team. They are the Central Virginia Vipers. Now people in motorized wheelchairs can play the sport competitively. 2 teams of 4 players with guards on their chairs move an oversized soccer ball down the court to score on the opposing team. They are part of the Virginia Power Soccer Association. Open practice is held every Friday at the Southside Community Center in Richmond through June, and the team is looking for players to join. Reporting for the CNS News Minute, I'm Sahara Sriraman.
With VCU men's basketball season around the corner, the Rams are looking to make another run into late March. But the team only has 5 starters remaining from last year's squad, so there's plenty of new faces. One being Joe Bann, who's returning to his hometown for one final year of college basketball. Unfortunately, due to NCAA transfer rules, his eligibility to play for the Rams is being denied. He has already transferred multiple times. Bann is hoping for another waiver to play, citing in a social media post he needs to be closer to his family in Richmond and his father, who's recovering from open heart surgery. Regardless of the outcome, if the Rams want to repeat any success they had last season, they need all the help they can get. The holiday season is quickly approaching. UPS is getting ready to offer more jobs than you'd expect. UPS is looking to hire more than 100,000 seasonal employees nationwide and 500 seasonal employees in the Richmond area, offering full and part-time positions for package handlers, seasonal delivery drivers, and CDL drivers. UPS is promising for pay rates to begin at $21 per hour. Nearly 80% of the seasonal positions will not require an interview. UPS says they are looking forward to helping thousands of workers kick off the UPS careers. contact your local UPS or go to the UPS website for more details on how to apply. The Virginia Department of Forestry is once again asking Virginians to help grow the forests of tomorrow. The DOF is accepting acorns from across the state that will be planted and grown in its Augusta nursery. Reporter Brian Fritz is here to show us how to help.
This is what the Virginia Department of Forestry is looking for, acorns. They're asking the public's help to replant Virginia forests by collecting acorns and bringing them to any DOF location around the Commonwealth. Those acorns will then be planted in the Augusta nursery just outside of Charlottesville and become Virginia's forests of the future. DOF Augusta nursery manager Joshua McLaughlin oversees the selection and planting of millions of seedlings every year.
I never thought I had a green thumb. I come here, start planting seeds, start growing things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually enjoy this.
Every year, the DOF asks for acorns from healthy trees and to be delivered in a paper or burlap bag. McLaughlin says last year's overwhelming effort meant canceling costly seed orders.
The public saved us a bunch of money last year.
Right now, the Augusta Nursery can grow 6 million trees that thrive in the Virginia climate. According to the DOF website, they're particularly in need of white oak, black oak, and chestnut oak acorns. The DOF is also asking, if you can, identifying the tree that the acorns have come from, perhaps including a leaf along with the collection, and separating the different species of acorns. The Augusta Nursery is accepting donations up until October 15th, so get cracking. For VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Brian Fritz.
You can visit the DOF's website for resources to help identify acorns and where to send your findings. On Friday, it will be cloudy with the low being in the 60s and the high being 78 degrees. And on Saturday, it will be partly cloudy with the low being in the 50s and the high being in 70 degrees. You can check out the latest edition of VCU InSight on Thursday afternoons on our YouTube channel. For VCU InSight, I'm Mario Navarro.